If the government was to pay you $10,000 a month to live, no job needed.
I think it is a component of something we should pursue. It is
What to do about mass unemployment?
Is this something that you feel like is nice?
And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income.
Something that would be right up your alley? Something that sounds great. I'm sure it does, but there's a cost to everything that's free, and we're going to talk about it. So what happens when super intelligence is created? AI officially takes all of our jobs. Yours, mine's. You know, being a tech CEO and a content creator isn't safe as well. What happens and who is going to pay us? But before we get into that, let's jump into some relevant news, because I know you guys don't watch the news, and we don't talk about politics here. Don't worry. There are other channels for that. We save that for them. I know sometimes tech and politics coincide. If that happens, then we'll talk about that in a very intelligent way. But let's talk about relevant news before we talk about our debate today. Hinton, the godfather of AI, warns of massive unemployment. His argument is that he says UBI may help mitigate financial insecurity, but won't replace what many people get from work, like identity, social meaning, and dignity. When people disassociate from their work, they quit their jobs, they leave their jobs, they are in search of who they are, because they've been in a system for far too long to understand what they truly really like, or what they're really passionate about, or what is their purpose. The first question people usually ask when they meet you is, what do you do? And you don't answer, oh, I go for a bike ride, or I go and to the gym. Your first answer is typically, what do you do for work? Like, oh, I work for X PR firm, or I do this. And that's how we've been set up as a society to value people, is whatever they do for work is tied to how we should treat them, how we should respect them, you know, just the whole, like I said, socioeconomic status. So what happens when we strip that away from people, and people can no longer tie themselves to their career or their workplace, or how many years they spent doing their PhD program? That will create problems on its own. So although people are getting $10,000 a month, or whatever it may be, what inner work problems will a lot of people face with no identity within their jobs? And I know you're probably saying, well, just give me the $10,000, just shut up. Well, it's beyond that, and we're going to talk about that today. But another conversation is former OpenAI researcher Miles Brundage says a $10,000 a month UBI might be necessary in a few years. Oh, really, Miles? Tell us why. AI-driven growth could make that level feasible, but Brundage is also clear our systems are not ready for either the political or cultural shift required. I agree. I believe we are not ready for the cultural shift at all in that happening. And we're going to talk about why I believe that later on in our conversation. And then Fed Chair Jerome Powell acknowledges that AI may already be hurting entry-level and recent graduate job openings. He said it's too hard to say how big the effect is. Well, folks, there's a job economy report that came out, I think, just a month ago that tells us how bad it is. And I know a lot of people, somebody in my comments for my previous video called me out and was like, you're fear mongering, AI isn't taking jobs. And although I respect your debate, everything is Googleable. This is beyond the COVID spillage. This is AI really is truly disrupting the economy. And it may not be for reasons of saying, oh, we found the tool of our lifetime that can truly replace a salesperson. No, but it's enough for a company to want to test the waters. Do you get what I'm saying? As long as you have a manager of those tools, you can get enough done at the lower levels, meaning those redundant tasks of data entry, cold calls, outreach, responding. There are bare level tasks that people do as repetitive things. And once something's repetitive, guess what? It can be reproduced and it can be trained on an AI model. And again, eventually AI will learn. It will get better. The more data you feed it, it's a constant learning language model. It will constantly learn. And with that, it will learn to build tools that will exemplify a role, an actual person. It comes in time. But as for right now, even if we believe AI is not developed enough, which I truly believe it's not developed enough, it's enough for companies to want to take that opportunity to lay off staff, regardless of the reason. There is quite the amount of AI startups being created. A lot of shareholders are wondering what's going on with the companies and saying, hey, why aren't you jumping on the AI wave? Who's the first to do this? How can we be competitive? There are so many reasons why companies want the opportunity to test this out, lower their bottom line by reducing payroll. I can go on for days about this. There are numerous reasons, but again, it's all in the job report, and I suggest you guys use ChatGPT, which is the most common tool out there, to just do a little bit of research on where and why it's happening. All right. We talked a lot about news, and I really want to jump into the segment. But before I jump into the segment, I want to appreciate you. So firstly, if you're here, crazy enough, I like you, even if you think I don't know you. See, I like you because you, to me, by clicking on this video, you're smarter than surface level thinker because you're curious about the unknown. Anybody who's curious about the unknown and want to know beyond what is thrown in our face, I respect. I respect you. And we have a lot in common, believe it or not. I love to predict and forecast and talk about the unknown and get into debates and just challenge mindsets on what is the possibilities. You are here not because of what is presently going on, but what you're hoping to understand about what's in our future. And because of that, I would love for you to stay. I would love for you to be in the comments. I would love to get to know you. I would love for you to subscribe. This is just not like a call to like, hey, jump in here, subscribe. I really value people who think beyond surface. And if you're here, I can tell you are that type of person. So drop a comment below. Tell me you're here. Tell me what you do, why you're here, how'd you end up here? And yeah, let's stay connected. I want you to be a part of my community. All right, let's get into the topic because we have a lot to talk about. And hypothetically, let's throw out the number 10,000. If you were paid $10,000 based on your current status, I don't know your household size. I don't know what city you're living in, what state you're living in. I don't know. But let's say $10,000. First and foremost, my first question to you is that enough? Do you feel like that is enough with no other job on the table? No job, no opportunity, no freelancing? Because again, at this time, we're expecting superintelligence to completely take over and wipe jobs. Even the jobs I predicted that are safe in the next 10 to 15 years, meaning like those that require emotional intelligence, like therapists, caseworkers, daycare workers, like nurses, even with those gone and off the table, is $10,000 enough to supply your needs? And remember, a lot of us get healthcare through our companies. Healthcare, if you didn't know, outside your companies, that is something I learned, is very expensive. Very, very expensive. So is that enough? That's my first question. And we won't deep dive into 10,000. Maybe we'll have another conversation on what should be the universal base income if that happens. We'll have another conversation on that, but that's not the topic today. Is that enough? So you probably have now answered in your head, yes or no. Number two, what would you do with your time? What is your identity? What are you going to do beyond? I know a lot of people are saying, oh, this is great. I'll spend some time with my family, with my kids. I'll finally get to do the things that I love. Yes, beyond that. But I know for me, I have a family, I have kids, I have hobbies, I have things that I enjoy, but I'm also an ambitious person. And I have an urge to want to do something that pushes my comfort level. And typically that takes me being in a challenging environment. So I'm curious to know what you guys will do in that time frame, in your duration or your time at home if you are not working. And Now, if $10,000 was issued through to us, right? And you're probably thinking, oh, this is fair. This is great. Okay, cool. I love this. Yes, I don't have to work anymore. I don't have anybody to report to. Is it really cool? Because there's a cost to everything that essentially is deemed as free. For example, those that have Medicare right now, Medicaid, what do you think the cost of that is? Your privacy, right? The ability to approve what you can and cannot do, what medicine you can and cannot take. If the government wanted to deep dive into your data, they can, because essentially they're paying for your health care. That is the telltale sign of I own you, no matter how much you think you are free. And this is not we're not a revolutionary page. This is not what we're here. Revolt against the people kind of thing. This is just awareness, because a lot of people think that universal basic income is the best thing. I think it's very scary. And I say that because of another reason of there will also be in this world of super intelligent, the 1%ers, the billionaires, the trillionaires probably at that time, that create these programs, that run these programs, that meet in these rooms to decide what's next before AI takes over them. Those are the people who would feel truly that they bring true value in this world. So what does that say to the people that are getting handouts, these $10,000 handouts? They would feel like they are not valuable to this world, right? They would feel like actually, it will turn into an event where they're more than likely dehumanizing people. And this reminds me of the homeless population, whereas although this person on the street, you have no idea what their background is, what their story is, how much potential they may have. A lot of people, as much as you want to admit it or not, dehumanize them based on their situation, because they take handouts, because they don't work, because they don't get up and dress and take care of themselves, right? How do you think people will see you if you were just getting a handout from the 1%ers, right? Another thing I see potentially happening is a gladiator times Hunger Games type of thing. See, I've noticed amongst the super rich, what happens is they use other people for entertainment once they get bored. That is a telltale long time ago. We've seen it before in just entertainment. A lot of people get bored of money and then they start wanting people to entertain them. We've seen it in the kingship and the queenship of life. And I see it where, because you're getting this supplement income, you are almost automatically drafted in these things. You have no option. If you want to continue, receiving payment, there's like an automatic opt-in slot that says, in order to receive payment, you have to opt into these so-and-so things. We can peel at your data. We can figure out, if you're sick, we can send you over here. Like, I just feel like the amount of rights people will lose will lessen. And will the laws and policies put in place in our future protect us from that? I don't know. I can't predict that. I can't foresee that, because I'm not a person who studies politics or law. But as of right now, we are so far beyond having modern day policies to help protect us against technology. There's not a lot of laws around data and privacy right now. So if there's not a lot of laws around data and privacy, and we have tools like AI being built that invades that privacy, it's kind of scary to think in the future what human rights policies will invade with that. So there's a lot to be said here. And again, I want you guys to ponder at what is the true cost of things that come with universal basic income. And I'm going to sum it up with our privacy, our dignity, our identity, just the fact of us being human, and our inch of freedom that you think you will have, you really don't. No matter if somebody writes your paycheck and you're working for the hours, you are owned by that company. when they have you on contract to say you are to do this and within this time, if you want this paycheck, you have to do this. It's the same type of contract. If you take in a contract and somebody's giving you money, there's something within those lines that tells you within the terms and conditions, this is what you have to give to us in order for us to give you this money. And that could be you inputting a microchip in your brain, right? We don't know the cost of that, but I think it's something that we should discuss and we should start talking about so that we do create policies and laws amongst that. Is it a bad thing for people to get $10,000 a month and to explore their freedom in the future, to live life and have more time with their kids, because that's what's more valuable, is truly spending time with people? Of course, I would love the opportunity to get paid and spend more time and not do anything for that. But all in all, there is always an underlying cost to money. That's the truth. And again, this is over for topics and debates and questions and conversations. So you tell me your thoughts on what comes with $10,000 a month. And do you feel like that's enough for universal base income? What would someone have to pay you to not work anymore? All right, make sure you subscribe below. I am so happy you guys are here. We're going to have a great future, you and I. Later.